I wish, in a way, just coming, this is my military speaking, but everyone should go through anxiety recovery to really truly understand that it's not there to harm you. And the feelings that you're feeling are just very minor piece of the anxiety recovery. And yeah, it's just I'm very glad that you know everything that I've experienced in the past 2 years happened, and I'll never take it for granted.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. In this video, I have Daniel, and Daniel's going to be sharing his story. I was just telling him earlier that I'm glad that he's on the channel, that he's sharing his story, and just to be as honest and truthful about everything he experienced and what's going on right now. So, Daniel, welcome to the channel, man.
Hey, Shaan, thanks for having me on the show, and I think this is a very honorable position to be in. Hopefully, those who are in my shoes, when I was going through the recovery process, hopefully watching this video will help, hopefully thousands of people, hopefully many more, and which is why I'm doing it. And yeah, let's get this party started.
Appreciate it, man. Okay,
Yeah.
so starting first and foremost, um, if you had to look at the whole arc of your journey, what were some of the biggest symptoms that you were dealing with?
So I think any other folks who have gone through the process would tell you, they've experienced pretty much all the symptoms that you can think of, right? Like, you know, literally textbook definition of, anxiety slash panic symptoms. I think I've gone through all, and I probably lost counting because I think symptoms for me, uh, they morphed every time, um, as I was going through the recovery process, right? And I think the biggest debilitating symptom for me was probably the just any offset symptoms that come with from having panic attacks.
Mhm.
So I would say, like the brain zap, body zaps, and then having hard time breathing. So like heart palpitation, tight chestness or tightness in chest. Also, I think, oh yeah, I think one of the biggest ones uh, was probably the digestion. So digestive issues, just TMI, but I think I've always had IBS D, but now I think about it retrospectively, it wasn't really what I was eating. I think it has something to do with, my anxiety. Now I think about it, and that persisted more than any other symptoms. I mean, I kind of do have some of the lingering, IBS symptoms, but nothing like when I used to have it, during my military days and then pre-military days when I was having really bad days with those. But yeah, I think I would say the top three were probably, heart palpitation, digestive issues, and then any zaps that happen as a result of having panic attacks.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And how did all this start?
Yeah. So I think I joined your program back in May of 2020, so a little over 2 years ago. Now I think about it, this seems like a long time ago, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
2022. It's 2020.
yeah, yeah, 2020, yeah. Sorry, 2021. Yeah, 2021. Yeah, because my family and I moved to California for my job in 2020, but I had my first panic attack back in 2021. But just to kind of guide you through where this has all started. So I think it honestly, again, now I think back, I think I've always been a very anxious person, in my opinion, and again, I try not to think too much about the root cause of how I fell into the cycle, but just for the educational purpose, I think the how it started was in the middle of the pandemic. People were talking about getting vaccinated and all that during COVID, and then so I got my first shot in April, and I remember on site I got the shot, and then I had all these intrusive thoughts about, oh my God, this is a new shot that no one had taken at the time of the release, right? And so I was questioning about what if this happens after getting a shot? It just I really got lost into my own thoughts, and as a result, after getting my shot, everything went fine. But a couple days after, I started feeling very dizzy, and it wasn't like the typical like a whoosh of like dizziness you would feel on a just random day, right? But this one was more. I think it was a little more intense. Very. I think it was a little more intense dizziness, and then it was very consistent on a daily basis. So I would feel dizzy after waking up. I would feel dizzy right as like during the meals, and right before the bed. I felt dizzy after taking a shower, and I was like, "What is going on with my body?" So I kept questioning, like, was this due to the vaccination, or because at the time I wasn't. I'll be very honest here. Like I wasn't a very aware person when it comes to mental health and anxiety. Just due to my upbringing in an Asian family growing up, they were very, I would say, very traditional about your mental health. It was kind of like a taboo talking about it. Like, oh, you have anxiety. Why don't you just suck it up and then go move on, right? So coupled with that, I was also in the military, right? So I did 5 years in the Marine Corps, and then um, I felt like mental health was like it was important, but it wasn't enough for me to really focus on it for myself. So every time people talked about mental health, I was like, oh, it's just mental health. But so just thinking about it, I kept questioning myself. Hey, well, why do I feel dizzy, and why isn't this going away, right? And I kept looking up on the website. Hey, people who got vaccination shots, are they feeling the same? And I got into the whole typical website searching for the answers, right? And um, I don't remember how the symptom itself faded away, but it just went away. Then when it came time to get my second shot, now I remember getting a second shot very clearly, because when I had my panic attack, my major full-blown panic attack for the first time in my life was literally a day after getting my second shot. So I think it was a culmination of just ruminating in my thoughts, and then questioning, and just very stressed about the outcome of getting shots, and really it was like a perfect storm for my first episode of having a full-blown panic attack. So I remember I felt fine. I was like, got my shots, I'm gonna just do whatever I need to do. I'm gonna lay down on my couch, the recliner seat, watching. I remember I was watching 60 Days in Jail on Netflix, eating some snack, like a Korean snack. So I was, watching it. It was like 11 p.m. ish, and then boom, had a very very strong body, like a brain zap that shocked throughout my body. I was literally laying down like this on my recliner seat, and they hit me right after the zap. I couldn't breathe. I started like gasping for air, and then I was like, oh my god, am I having an allergic reaction to whatever I was eating while I was watching the TV? I was freaking out, and at the time, my both my wife and daughter were actually on the other side of the US. So they were, and I was in the West Coast. So I was like, man, I can't breathe. I can't even like, bring words out, and I have no one to, call the operator for whatever this is. And so I called my actually my work manager. I was like, hey, I'm about to pass out here. I'm literally like feeling everywhere dizzy. I feel like I'm gonna die or having a heart attack or something. And can you please call 911 and then can you send somebody here to the place? So we all got on the three-way call with the operator. The operator at the time was trying to guide me through, hey, what is going on? Are you having an allergic reaction? Is anyone is anyone next to you? I was like, just get somebody here because I'm about to like pass out and like potentially die because I was just freaking out. So 5 minutes passes by. The ambulance truck comes in, and they're like performing all the typical ER procedures on me, making sure my vital signs are fine. And I remember just hearing them talking about my blood pressure. I was like, it was pretty high. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was a lot higher than I usually see when I do my physical checkups. And I was like, whoa, what? Now that even freaked me out, right? So I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna die without having my family, you know, being next to me. And this is how I'm gonna go. And at the time, it was weird because I've never experienced anything like that physically. Uh, even in the ambulance, my body was shaking very, very violently, right? Like I couldn't stop shaking. I kept asking them to really save me because this is not how I wanted to go, and I was genuinely scared because I was like, man, what is this? I'm so young and I'm gonna die. But when we actually got to the ER, uh, I I didn't know what they put me in the IV, but I think now I looked at the medical report, they actually put the calming medication, the anxiety medication called Ativan, in the IV, and then they're like, well, it looks like you're calming down, and you look like you're not freaking out anymore. Are you anxious? That was a question from the ER doctor. Are you anxious? And the second that he asked me that question, I was like, I'm not anxious. I'm scared. And I've never been the anxious type, even though now like I said, I think I've always been an anxious type, but I just didn't recognize it, right? And I was like, there's no way I'm an anxious person. And I was so baffled by the fact that I'm at the ER with a anxiety medication plugged into the IV bag. And what is this? And then that's when he told me, well, I think you just had your first panic attack. And that was the beginning of my uh, amazing recovery journey, I would say. Since then, well, before I even got into the real recovery journey, I think that's when all the searching for the answers also occurred. That discharged me with, a bottle of Ativan medication, and then, hey, well, don't only take it if you need it because it's very addicting. And I told him I don't want to take it because I'm not a medication person to begin with. I don't want to take medication. Um, I, I just need to like just collect myself and then reassess what's really going on because I just got out of the panic attack that just got me all lost in the sense. So I came back. I came back to the place, and then literally half a day later, I had another very intense physical symptoms, and I think when you have your first major panic attack, your body becomes very very sensitized. So every symptom, it doesn't matter whether there were anxiety symptoms or just normal day-to-day symptoms that you would feel, felt like they were hitting me like a truck. So even when I was, because I needed to eat to survive. So every time I was trying to eat, I would get very, very like dizzy feeling, like as I was trying to like swallow whatever food I was chewing on. Even when I had to go to the bathroom, it felt very weird every time I needed to go. That triggered me to have panic attacks or panic symptoms, what have you. And it was just a panic symptoms after panic symptoms. And I was like, all right, this is it. I'm gonna look it up on the internet and see what's going on. So that's where I started looking for, the answers on on Reddit. I was like, is this normal to have these physical symptoms? Something wrong with my heart? Am I having a heart diseases or whatever? And I started scheduling, all these like, specialist appointment with doctors to get my heart checked out. So I remember they did a whole EKG, ECG, and the heart monitoring for weeks, and then they told me, "Oh, your heart is very healthy." So at that point, I was like, "Man, I don't know what's going on." Then I at the time I felt very lost because I was like, I'm still having these very intense physical symptoms, and they're telling me I'm normal. So it must be anxiety, but I still didn't truly understand the mechanics of anxiety at the time. So all I knew at the time was, hey, well, if you're anxious, maybe you're feeling these symptoms. So I was very uninformed, I guess. And then I became misinformed when I started looking on the internet for the answers. And then that was a very big mistake, just going into Reddit looking for, if you go to like anxiety subreddit, they have so much misinformation. And then, those folks who have, I guess, who have been suffering from anxiety for a long time, but can get out because they keep getting, misinformation from folks who are not out of it really. So I think that's how I came about your YouTube channel, Shaan. Uh, like I saw Shaan Kazam like in the hyperlink, and then it took me to one of your anxiety recovery. Actually, it was recovery video with Caesar. So that's the very first video I saw. You interviewing Caesar after he has gone through the process and then came out, and then he has become one of your head coaches, and and yeah, that's how I came into your anxiety mentorship program, and then the rest is history. Yeah.
Yeah, man. We had a very similar story. I actually remember even when I was watching too. I was actually watching Archer when I had my panic attack. And it was actually really ironic because I had digestive issues much like you. And so I kept running to the bathroom, and I convinced myself that I ate something wrong, or like there was something wrong. And I was with my girlfriend at the time, and so I just started chugging water, trying to throw up because I was like
Mm.
something wrong. And so I drank so much water that night. I remember it was right when I got back from work, trying to throw up, and my stomach wouldn't throw up. And it was just because my stomach was strong. It wasn't like I had like a stomach issue, but it manifested that way. And then that was the second time I had my panic attack. The
Okay.
first time it sensitized me, and I felt something was different after the first one. I was like, I don't feel the same like I used to. Something's like off. I don't know what it is. But it was like what you mentioned. It was like sensitive. You got sensitized at that moment. And so when the second time it happened, it just all the symptoms just shot up, and it was that was
Yeah.
really yeah.
Yeah, I think focusing on symptom, is not the answer, as you know, because you're the one who taught me about, don't focus on the symptoms, right? It is not the root cause. It's just offset symptom of the root cause, which is anxiety. And I remember everything that I did just would trigger all sorts of symptoms. I mean, like you said, from a digestive perspective, whenever I was trying to burp, I couldn't burp, and then uh, inability to burp would trigger panic symptoms because
Yeah.
your brain's going haywire. Hey, you're about to get choked out. I'm like, what is going on? And like, as I'm just glad that I have gone through the the 2 years of my recovery journey, I guess, to really truly experience the really ups and downs of the recovery, to fully recognize all these symptoms that you've felt, other than the panic attacks, were just oversensitized symptoms, like feelings. Really, those are the same feelings that you would feel, or any other people with normal baseline uh, sensitization would feel. But it's just that what you're feeling is very amplified because of your hypersensitized nervous system. And took me a while to get it, but I'm glad to finally realize that's all it is. And now I look back, I'm like, yeah, it felt very intense at the time, but now I think about it, it's just I don't even think about it anymore. Like I almost, like, I don't remember. I do remember my panic symptoms, but I don't remember any like other, just like a typical anxiety symptoms that you would have on a typical day. So I yeah, it's just amazing how much you can learn from your own your recovery.
Yeah, and I have so much to say, but I wanted to, before I do, I wanted to know, how was your experience in the program, going through the journey? What was some of the what did you experience? How was it for you?
Yeah, so just FYI, I'm a very skeptical person. So even after I watched your YouTube videos and your content, I was very skeptical about it. I was like, people can get out of anxiety. How's that work? And it got me to think. I'm like, you know what? I think I've tried everything right. I've seen the doctors, and they're telling me I'm normal. So the only options would be to go see maybe a psychologist, or you know just the professionals who would prescribe the medications, right? But again, the latter wasn't my option because I didn't want to go into the medication route. So you know what? I'm gonna take a leap of faith and try this Bye Bye Panic mentorship program. So I had I went through the whole application process. I talked to the main point of contact for setting stuff up, and then when I finally got to your I think it was your first Monday weekly call,
Mm.
and I was nervous, skeptical, didn't know what I was expecting at the time because it was my very first session. And then, you know what? Let's just give it a try and then see how I like it. And if I don't like it, then I'll just move on, right? And just after talking to you for the first time, just put me to ease, and I felt very comfortable, even though I was having panic symptoms at the time during the call. Um, and I think my gut feelings were like, this guy knows what he's talking about. And then it's not just him. There are other folks who have gone through the same process as he has gone through, and now you know they're the mentors, giving guidance to your clients. So I was like, oh wow, so maybe it is working. And I love the challenge, so I was willing to do anything to get myself out of this anxiety cycle, right? So you know what, even if it's just taking a leap of faith, just trust the process and go through it. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't work, we'll find a different solution that works for you. So I remember just going through, each weekly module within your program, just get a true understanding of how the anxiety mechanism works, right? And then the moment I learned how that works, I felt instantly better. I felt very relieved because oh, okay, that's how it works now. That's why I'm having these symptoms. And it was like a very pivotal moment for me, and that's why I say like knowledge is power. Um, but little did I know, knowledge alone doesn't get you to your full recovery, right? There needs to be practice. So I knew, you needed to practice what you've learned from the educational materials, and and I was very scared because I think I started out very small. I remember I couldn't drink any caffeinated beverages. So every time I would take a sip, I would have all sorts of symptoms, even a sip of Coca-Cola. And I was like, it doesn't make sense because I used to drink cups of coffee. I remember chugging all these like Red Bull, Monster Energy drinks, but now I can't even do that. I can't enjoy the things that I used to enjoy doing. And I know frustration is one of these 7 F's, but I remember, you know what? Just trust the process, practice it in your daily life, and see where that goes. So I really, I remember just going to like Mickey D's and grab like a Happy Meal with a medium Coke, and then started taking a sip. And I remember I was having anticipatory anxiety of having another attack after drinking it, but you know what? I'm just gonna drink it. And I just hey, I know there are panic symptoms. I know it feels uncomfortable, but let me just drink it and let the body recalibrate. Let my brain, the little Mirka's favorite phrase, lizard brain amygdala. Let it retrain to think that you're not afraid of drinking coffee or Coke. So I started doing, very small steps, based on the guidance provided, from the mentors. And I think the most helpful lessons that I learned from the mentorship was really having the questions based on your learning experience. So every time you would go through something new, I always had a question like, hey, well, I just felt like this, but should I continue doing, or should I avoid it based on how my feelings, right? And the fact that the coaches were there to kind of like guide you, and if needed, course correct you to put you on the right path. I think that was the most helpful content of the mentorship program, in my opinion. I know that having a support group is also good. I know the ability to write your wins and then questions in Facebook group, that was helpful too, because I remember reading all my prior posts got me to think, wow, I was a mess. But I think the key to my recovery was really the mindset, in my opinion. I think I always had the right mindset. Um, every time I felt like I was having really bad days, I never let that get to me. I was like, you know what? Just remember what Shaan and the other coaches told me. It's not the win. It's not how well you respond on a good day. It's really how well you respond on a bad day, and that's how you make progress, even if it's little. And I remember you saying it's like a kind of like a what's the phrase? 2 steps forward and then 1 step back, and then that was like that too. And I think really the perseverance and then consistency of practicing what you've learned from the content was a key to I think my success, in my opinion. And I think they could, if it works for me, I think it would work for everyone who's in your program and whoever's watching this video, right? And yeah, it's just everyone has been very helpful in answering questions because I mean, I think it is an experience that is the best teacher. So the fact that in the mentorship program you have the coaches who have gone through themselves, with the anxiety recovery, was very assuring as well because I didn't know what to expect throughout my progress. So the fact that someone was there to help answer questions was monumental in my journey. Yeah.
I remember you very well, and I always thought you did really well, like in the program. Like
Oh,
I was,
thanks.
and I don't know if this was true or not, but I always attributed it to like the fact that you were in the military. That like there was something about me being able to tell you, or even the mentors to be able to tell you, and there was this immediate like execution. You did it. You did those things, and you didn't let the feelings and what was going on affect you. And so from my standpoint, I was like, Daniel's really compliant. Like you were really good. But I wanted to ask you on that. And you kind of like mentioned that it was like for you what really helped was mindset. And I wanted to go a little deeper there and be like, what kind of mindsets really
Right.
help? How did you go about all of this stuff? Because you did it really well. And I mean, I just even as a coach, I like figure out what was it for you, because you did great. I think you like when your name would come up in our internal meetings, it was all good stuff. It was like in the sense that like he's implementing, he's moving forward. Yes, it's difficult, but he's responding well. He just needs more time. He just needs more
Right.
time, not too much to course correct.
Yep.
But I want to ask you on that mindset stuff. What were some of the things that helped you?
Yeah, I've always been a very yeah, I guess you could say very compliant guy, just coming from the military background, and I think it's just inherent within me. However, I think my attitude and the mindset have evolved as I was going through your mentorship program, just based on the fact that I was able to see my own progress as I was going through your program. I was like, okay, so Shaan and the coaches have told me this is the way it works and this is the way it doesn't work. Avoid these pitfalls in the anxiety recovery. So, okay. I was also curious at the time, so I would try one of the pitfalls. So like, do the things I used to avoid the things that I used to enjoy doing, right? So I'm a huge gamer, and I used to play games, whether it's PC or video games. I would play almost every day, even with my family, right, as a family time. But I remember just shortly after having the panic attack, I would experience these physical symptoms, and then I was like, oh my God, I can't even play video games. I can drink coffee. I can play video games. What can I do? Can I just stop doing it? So I stopped doing it just to, just thinking that I would not have those panic symptoms again. But guess what? They came back. Well, I wasn't playing video games, so why are these symptoms coming back to me now again? So it was really, it was just I would contribute it to more of a like a trial and error type of thing. You know, I did this, I avoided it, and it's not working anymore. So you know, let me listen, let me adhere to the lessons I've learned from the program. So I would just minimize my questions. You know what? I would tell myself, hey, Daniel, just ask questions. Only ask the relevant questions because you can probably find your answers that you're looking for from other people's Facebook posts and other people's recovery journey, the answers are there. So I would just stick to my schedule of, hey, go through the lessons, don't ask questions. Only ask if you're having a legit questions that you want to ask, and then see how you progress, and then that's when I started seeing my progression, even though it wasn't like a linear recovery progress, but it was up and down. But I started seeing more positive days versus having high anxiety days. But even then, I didn't think having bad days as truly bad days. I took that opportunity as, hey, that's your opportunity to practice. That's your really that is a very pivotal moment where you can make even further progress. So it was also a combination of me being compliant and maybe a motivational factors. Hey, just listen. So it wasn't as easy. I know you always preach the solution is the same regardless of the root cause, and that is very true. The solution is the same, doesn't matter. But I think the difficulty comes into play when you're having bad days, and I think a lot of the folks, based on what I've seen in the mentorship program, they would practice and then they have bad days, but some would respond well, but some would just say, "Oh my God, it was so tough. I'm not getting it," or I'm having a hard time responding well because they're so intense. But to me, I think it's just I just had to stick to the program and take a leap of faith and trust the process. And the fact that I was seeing a little bit of progress just made me realize Shaan and his team are legit. they're literally, they don't even have to teach everything they know. All we need to know as anxiety surfers, all we need to know is the foundation and the basics. And if you consistently apply those basics on a daily basis, you can get out of this too. And the key is consistencies too, right? So you wanna practice. Don't just practice, just to practice. I think you can make that as a, kind of like a fix it mode, right? Well, I'm gonna practice just to not feel symptoms. That's not how I really vision my recovery journey. I was like, you know what? Just integrate your daily life with what you've learned, and just live with anxiety side by side. Live with it. If it comes back, bring it to anywhere you're going, right? Work, bring it with you. Taking a hot shower, bring it with you if it pops up. I just didn't let it bother me. I didn't let anxiety dictate who I was gonna be and how my life was gonna turn out to be. So that was really, I just had to, kind of remind myself, hey, you'll get out of this. It'll take some time. Don't ever put a timeline on your anxiety recovery. I remember that statement from you and Mirka saying, "Do not ever put timeline on your recovery," and that's what I did. Really, I just really, it's not. So this whole thing is simple, but it's not easy. It'll take some time. You'll run into very hard days, but I think you need to have a mindset of, hey, take those hard, difficult days as your, as your, pivotal moment to turn everything around. That's where you make the most progress. And that really stuck with me. And that's why I was like, you know what, just show it through your action. You don't need to do anything. let your progress be the voice of your anxiety recovery. And that's what I did. I mean, I think every time I had a win or hard times, I always post a Facebook in the group, and coaches, folks would reply back, and I never questioned. I was like, okay, sounds good. Thanks for your awesome wisdom. I'll take that as my lesson and then move on. And I think that's how I was able to um, get better, even though I've had my really bad days. And like I was telling you earlier, I had a major setback actually earlier this year, and it wasn't fun. And setback in and of itself is a different story. You can talk about setback, and I think because I think I was telling you that I had my first panic attack laying down on the recliner seat. So I remember this year I went to a movie theater with my wife. I think we were watching the new Mission Impossible movie, and it was on one of those recliner seats. And I like lay down halfway through the movie, boom. It just hit me, just like the same way it hit me 2 years ago. And but the only difference this time is that I was able to recognize, ah, my good old friend is back. You're more than welcome to watch the movie with me and my wife. We'll watch the movie together. We'll finish it, but you're not gonna interrupt me here. I'll accept you. Watch it with me. And I was literally having another full panic attack just watching the movie. You know what? Let the body do its thing. Just burn off excess adrenaline, whatever that was built up or remaining one that I had in my body. Just let it flow through you. Watch the movie, finish it, then just move on. So again, and I think I was telling you that I was questioning my progress at the same time because it was so intense, and then I felt a little bit sensitized right after having a panic attack, and then for the next few days, the symptoms would gradually just fade away, just like nothing happened. So I was like, that's where I gained the most confidence as well. I was like, wow. So all the properly responding to bad days was nothing compared to how you would properly respond to the worst day of your recovery process, which is your setback. And I wouldn't necessarily call it the worst day because it's also your best day if you respond well, because that's where you make the most progress. After I went through the setback, I felt like a way better version of myself than I would say about 2 years ago. And the sheer amount of confidence I gained from going through that setback was just I'll always cherish that moment with me, and and I'll talk about it with my wife, and those in my friend circle. Hey, yeah, setback was awesome. It sucked. Did I like it? No, I didn't. I didn't enjoy it, but I think it was very necessary, and I think it's really required to have it as part of your overall recovery journey. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to have an opportunity to practice in the moment that matters. So, yeah, it's just been a heck of a roller coaster ride per se.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And I think everybody in the recovery journey experienced that like at some point. Typically when they have like a huge break,
Oh
where
yeah.
and then that's part of that shock value where it's like, oh,
Hmm.
this I didn't know your body could hit you that hard, but it's like you just need to give it more time, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah, and I think I can't remember the name of the video, but I think one of your videos talks about oh gosh, I'm having a blank, but uh setbacks. So you cannot you cannot truly get out of your recovery journey without having a setback. And and these setbacks, I think in my opinion, these setbacks are your most valuable component and point in your recovery journey, because you're if you're not having a setback, then I would almost look at it as you're not truly getting better. Because I think one of your videos talks about, hey, you having a setback means you're getting better. And if you're not getting better, then you'll not experience setbacks. So from a nervous sensitization perspective, I thought it was, oh, it's maybe because my nerves are getting back to the baseline, and then I hadn't experienced the symptoms, right, for a long period of time. Then the setback happens, and then, oh, now that you put two and two together, that makes perfect sense. So it really indicates that you're getting better. Your nerves are getting your nerves are getting desensitized, and you're not really, you're having bad days, but you're not really feeling the symptoms, but you're having all of the like the panic attack all of a sudden. And yeah, that's gonna have a shock value, like you said, and that's what got me to think, okay, yeah, I'm getting better, and I'll keep getting better, and it'll only get better from 6 months from now on, or whatever timeline that you want to put on. But again, I don't want to put the timeline. I think compared to where I was 2 years ago, I feel like a very different version of myself, and I'm glad that I have experienced all this. Otherwise, I would probably be still going to the ER, getting checked out, still questioning my health, and probably not have the quality life that I've been having with my family over the past 2 years. And it's, yeah, it's I wish, in a way, just coming, this is my military speaking, but everyone should go through anxiety recovery to really truly understand that it's not there to harm you. It is there to it is there because it's part of you. It's just that your nerves are desensitized, or sensitized, sorry. And the feelings that you're feeling are just very minor piece of the anxiety recovery. And yeah, it's just, I'm very glad that you know everything that I've experienced in the past 2 years happened, and I'll never take it for granted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's an incredible journey. I kind of agree. I mean, I feel like everyone should go through. I think it's like um the most self-development, but also like it just turns into like this introspective, like getting to know you in so
Hmm.
many ways. Like, it's like anxiety is not there to harm you. It's actually not really you. You're still always in control. And like it's always like this like going deeper. And
Yep.
this is where really like the mindsets really come in, ironically. It's like this is where you start uncovering certain things.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's still one of those things you still learn something new. I've been in it for like 10 years and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It has nothing to do with anxiety after a certain point. It just kind of turns into like self-development, I would say.
Yeah,
But yeah, you just learn more about yourself and like it's a great journey. I
it
I think
is.
yeah.
Yeah, and then every time. So obviously there are still, set of population out there, who have anxiety, but they don't know what what it is, right? Because they haven't experienced that the same process that we've all experienced. And every time I see them, oh my God, I'm having these symptoms, but I don't know what to do. And and the fact that I'm able to give them the tools to help them, just based on the experience that I have, and then tools I've obtained from you guys, and it just feels very amazing. And I want to help as many people as I can. If they're feeling if they're feeling they're alone in this, they're not. There's a lot more people who are going through this, and there's a lot of resources out there, but just make sure that they're not misinformation. But yeah, it's just amazing how much you can learn from your own journey, and then pass the knowledge on to the others. But again, knowledge alone cannot get you out of the recovery. You really need to stay disciplined uh, to apply what you learned from the mentorship program to be able to make the most progress, right? Like we talked about. And it's very paramount that you actually apply. Otherwise, you know it's just like you learn how to fix cars on YouTube, but if you don't like actually do it, then you're not gonna get better. It's the same concept in my opinion. But yeah, just with anxiety. So yeah, I mean, thank you, Shaan. It was yeah, if it weren't for your program and the coach's help and guidance, I would never be the same. I wouldn't be here talking to you on this call.
Appreciate it. I feel very blessed just to have the opportunity to do it. I always say you did the work. Um, and we were just very lucky that you were open to guidance and took it, and it's 100% you. We just pointed you in the right direction, but you took every step of the way. And I think it was even good. You had your setback.
Yep.
You were ascended past the program, and you were able to catch yourself and do like that's like the goal, right? And so
Hmm.
that's awesome. So I just feel really lucky to be part of it, to be honest with you. And because I when you talk about your story, it reminds me of my story. And I'm like, man, that happened to me too. And then like fast forward, it's like, oh, I'm in this position now, and how amazing is that? And so it's great, man. Like I said, I really appreciate you hopping on the channel and sharing your story. I can tell you for sure it's gonna help a bunch of people. They will see.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. Because yeah, I remember back then I was like, oh my gosh, there are people who are doing a lot better than how I was doing, and I really want to hear their recovery journey stories, and how I think you need to learn from the best. And and if I can get the information from them, how they got out of it, how they were and how they made their mistakes, and how they were able to get out on their own. It's valuable information. So the fact that, Shaan, you're conducting these interviews with your former clients is very imperative in people's uh, recovery journey. And yeah, keep 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 doing you, because you make amazing contents. I still follow you, and I watch these videos. I'm like, wow, Shaan's helping even more people. So
Yeah.
it's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna show you behind the scenes after this call about some of the cool stuff we're doing too, and like, yeah, it's really great. But like I say, Daniel, it was awesome to work with you. I know like you were like one of Mirka's favorites. I remember she was like about you all the time, and she was like, "Yo, he gets it. He's good." Like, and you were a lot of inspiration for a lot of people during that time too. Like
Okay.
in report, I remember a lot of people looked up to you at that time too. So like it was like you were kind of already leading it, and like now it's like, like for the new people that it's gonna be great, man. So I appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, appreciate it, Shaan. And and yeah, whatever I can do to help out those who are still going through the process. Make sure you stick to the program and practice. Even on really bad days, that's where it matters. I think that's really key. And yeah, it's simple, but it's not easy. So as long as they remember that, I think they can they can also get out. And yeah, it's just consistency, perseverance, and discipline. Yeah, but thank you.
Sure. And for everyone else, there's resources in the description box below to help you on your journey. There's more stories here, more recovery stories on the channel as well. You can check out. And I'll see you guys in the next video.